Welcome to the Journal of Biophilic Design podcast. Well, many thanks for joining us on the Journal of Biophilic Design today. We are really excited to be with Carlo Battisti. He's president of the Living Future Europe, and he's also co-founder of the Biophilic Society. And before I go any further, please make sure you do visit the link that's on the website, because there is a new Biophilia Summit, which is really exciting. It's online. It's on the 7th of June, 2023, between 9 and 5 UK time, and obviously streams all over the world because it's online. So if you're interested in biophilia and biophilic design, please do register. It's incredibly affordable, I have to say. I was surprised at how reasonably priced it was. So it's affordable and accessible for everybody. So I really do encourage you to have a listen. There's some amazing speakers, everything from interior designers to psychologists and everything else, including the Stephen R. Kellett Biophilic Design Award winners. There's two of them. He's going to be telling us about that shortly. Carlo is also in the team coordinating the European category, and he's also a judge. So Carlo, many thanks for joining us today, first of all.
Yeah, thanks, Vanessa. It's a pleasure.
Lovely. Your professional career has involved you in different aspects of construction, and sort of taking you across civil engineering, technical director, and all sorts of things, including innovation. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and also what you're doing now, please?
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm a building engineer's background, so I graduated at Polytechnic of Milan, and I graduated on Friday, and I started working on Monday in construction firms, and I work in construction firms for 20 years, say, with different roles. And it was totally different scenario. So it was completely another story. And in 2008, also due to the crisis and so forth and so on, I completely changed my activity, and I started dealing with sustainability in the built environment. There was the beginning, for instance, of the development of sustainability standards in Italy, for instance. And I started studying for this new sustainability credentials, and also dealing with innovation in the built environment, the building industry. So starting working as project manager on some research projects with companies, research centers, and so forth and so on. So I really started interested more and more about sustainability and sustainable innovation in the built environment. And I have to say, when I discovered the programs of the International Living Future Institute, which is basically our US-based partner, meaning the Living Future Europe, this is basically what we should do. Let's say this is really the top of sustainability standard. Not only, it's really the only way we should perform, let's say, and work, meaning design and building buildings that are completely net or even positive from an environmental perspective, and so forth and so on. And the more that I'm working with them, the more that I'm working on these topics and considering the urgency of the climate emergency, it's now so evident that we really need to take a completely different approach, and we really need a paradigm shift. So that's why I'm already working for a few years now on trying to create this shift in the built environment, the building industry at a different level, which is not easy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've spoken to you quite a few times now, and I know you're incredibly passionate about this. I mean, really, really passionate, and also you're making it your life work, which is wonderful. Why is this? I mean, it's a massive question, but I kind of want it from a personal point of view. Why is sustainability important to you?
Yeah, Vanessa, it's a matter of survival now, basically, and we know that so for instance, we are coming for some severe floodings in Italy in these days. Probably you read the news, so and people are sometimes still surprised of what's happening, and they say, okay, this is something that is always happened in the past. Okay, yeah, but these phenomena are becoming more and more frequent, they're really occurring on a yearly basis in places where in the past it wasn't so. So we know that we have these big global issues to solve, and our responsibility starting from the built environment is really to address them in a very effective way, in a much more effective way, because we know that the built environment, for instance, is impacting on these global issues dramatically. You know that there's this 40% number, 40% CO2 emissions coming from the built environment, which is always in every report, in every book, in every book. So okay, we know it. So what are we doing? So this is basically why we need to take a really much more effective step, let's say, and actions in what we are doing. So this is now in the DNA of our work. So we cannot like design or build without considering this topic. So it's really something that we have to implement in our daily activities. And so that's why I feel that it's so important. And on the other hand, I feel often frustrated about the barely visible progress that we had in the built environment, because also, regardless, already like 2 or even 3 decades about green building strategy, and so forth and so on. You know, so the progress is really barely visible. So the curve of greenhouse gases emission is still ramping up, and we are not seeing really a change, because economy and people would like really to go ahead with this business as usual perspective, because it's difficult to change. It's really something that is complicated from a cultural perspective. From even if we have all the technologies available, we have all the strategies, we know what to do. So Greta Thunberg said, so the problem is solved. So because we know the solutions, we have only to implement them. And so that's why it's important that we are addressing these topics in a more effective way.
Yeah. What's your most sort of biggest frustration with the construction industry? I mean, there's this massive behemoth that moves so slowly, and there's too many parts to it, I think, from my point of view. But for you, what's your sort of obviously having worked in it, what's your biggest frustration, the way we build generally?
Yeah, traditionally speaking, it's a sector that's not so innovative, even if there are a lot of innovations available, but it's really like the top of the iceberg. But the general, so the business as usual way of working, it's not so innovative. And the complication comes also from the fact that basically when we are building, it's always like a new prototype each time. So you're building your new home. So if it is even the same, you're making it like in London or in Bristol, it will be 2 complete different projects. So that's why each time it's something that it looks like we are starting from scratch, and it's also difficult to standardize the processes, to sometimes also to industrialize the processes. And that's probably one of the reasons why it's so difficult, it's so slow in this sector in changing. Even if it is so important, because we know we spend 90% of our time in buildings and in closed spaces, so building where we work, when we sleep, when we learn. That's why the built environment is so important, because it actually shapes, let's say, the way we are living.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you first come across biophilic design? I'm quite curious about that. And why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, I would say it's really started with dealing with this Living Building Challenge framework. The Living Building Challenge is basically the flagship program of the International Living Future Institute. It was developed for the first time in 2006, so already like a while ago. And now we are at the 4th version of the standard, which was published in 2019. And Biophilic Design has always been a core part of the standard, of this framework. And it is to say is that from the previous version, the 3.1 version, the biophilic concept was included in the health and happiness petal, because the Living Building Challenge is based on the metaphor of the building as a flower. So it is divided in 7 petals, so sort of sustainability areas or regenerative sustainability areas. And previously, biophilic was under health and happiness, but then ILFI decided to move under the beauty capital, because biophilia is really something that is more than indoor environmental quality, is really something that is at the core of how a building can be beautiful. And it is beautiful in the way it really reconnects us with nature. This is something that we have been disconnected from in the latest decades. So, and this concept is so powerful. And I have to say, so this was basically my first reconnection, let's say, with nature through the standard. And the second point is clearly during the pandemic. So when during the pandemic, we discover how important it is to live in a beautiful space like yours, so that I see behind you, like with plants and natural light and so forth and so on. If we are, let's say, stuck and obliged to stay like more than 90 or even 95% or sometimes 100% of our time within these spaces, within these enclosed spaces for a few days and weeks, as it happened during the lockdown. So how the buildings are designed and built, it really matters, and it's something that impacts on people's well-being, health, and so forth and so on.
I mean, and obviously you see biophilic design as being one of these key factors to actually
absolutely
providing this, the restorative sustainability and sort of climate challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. Because in the end, if you are able, let's say, to design and build following a better reconnection with nature, it implies that, for instance, we design for having like daylight, and this is also something that is we can take advantage from, also from other angles, like the energy consumption, the energy efficiency. Again, the quality of life. So there are already like a lot of studies saying that if you are bringing sufficient quantity of daylight into your enclosed spaces, like if it is a school or if it is a hospital or if it is your home, people will recover first, we recover early, let's say, at the hospitals. Students will learn faster and in classrooms. So there are already like a lot of interesting data and robust data. It's really a different way to design and build something that is not completely new, because this is something that we did in our past in many cities and countries in Europe, but it's something that we are really rediscovering. So that's why it's so important. It's a new way of designing and building using natural materials and a lot of other features, which is not only, let's say, putting plants in your indoor spaces. It's something more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite interesting. I did that event the other week, the workspace event, and it was interesting the amount of people that came, because I was just like the only sort of green thing, really, if you know what I mean, in the space, and people coming from all over, and they were like, "So what's that?" And I had a load of stats on my little pop-up banner, and they said, "What's that? What is this? What is that?" And they didn't even know about biophilic design. And you think, because we're working in this space all the time, we're always talking about biophilia, biophilic design. It's like almost like now for me, it's like, oh, the stats. So we're like, oh yeah, we all know about those, but we forget that we just keep having to keep repeating and plugging and repeating and plugging those stats and just sharing that information to everybody that we're speaking to. It's incredibly important, I think. And obviously that's one of the reasons probably why you set up the Biophilic Society or Biophilic Society, so you can bring everybody together. Can you explain what compelled you to actually, draw the voices together?
Yeah, this idea of Biophilic Society basically came out of from this biophilia camp that we organized last autumn in the woods of South Tyrol. So we are in a nice place in Italy, in the mountains, let's say. We organized basically this 4 days workshop with participants and trainees. It was really a peer-to-peer collaboration and experience with indoor and outdoor activities, learning and practicing about biophilia and biophilic design. So studying, for instance, the elements and attributes from Stephen Keller and other strategies, with also some practical examples, with some outdoor exploration. We really had, let's say, a good time for 4 days. after that we came out, let's say, okay, but we should do more, because we discovered that when we launched, for instance, the registration for this event, we received a application from all over Europe. There was a person from Iceland, there were a couple of persons from Jordan, basically from all the countries in Europe. There were also one person from the United States. So in the end, we realized, oh my gosh, this is really a network of people that were waiting for some activities to feel all connected in a sort of living system, as we used to say. And that's why we say, okay, we should do we should do something more, like, for instance, establish this Biophilic Society, which is nothing administrative or legal. It's really a network, and again, a living system of passionate people from all over the world. We are meeting on a monthly basis, presenting some, let's say, best practices from biophilia, not only from Biophilic Design, but also from other disciplines and sectors. And the Biophilia Summit that we are organizing on the 7th of June is that you mentioned is one of the outcome of this Biophilic Society activities. Again, it's a network. There is a manifesto. So we truly believe that reconnecting with nature will save our society, and there's also a pun intended in the name, because it's really Biophilic Society, really thinking, you know, remember like the societies in London of the 19th century, is like society of whatever. Yeah. So it's really a society of people passionate about biophilia, but it's also a Biophilic Society. So the concept or the idea or the vision that society should be more biophilic. So the society where we live in, because, you know, specifically in big cities, people have really completely lost the connection with nature. So, like, for instance, children don't know how, for instance, the food is produced. Like, to give like an example, or and another issues. So that's why there is an urgent need. Also consider that we are more and more moving to big cities, and this is a trend that is completely that's why we need to find a different meaning, and we understand also that there are people now making basically the way back. So they're going the way back, meaning that there are really some people that are living cities, big cities, or even small cities, and moving to villages. This is also something that happened during the pandemics, meaning that people were like blocked in their like weekend or something, and they realize, okay, I can work from home, let's say. And it's much better than living in a big city and moving in a big city.
Yeah, you realize it when you've experienced it and you actually got the choice to move around and be, and we just gravitate to nature and to looking at trees and plants. And, you know, I've got like a little walkway in front of where we are, and there's cherry trees and things.
That's amazing.
It's so lovely, and people walk past and they just stop.
It's amazing.
All different ages and groups. It started, obviously, I noticed it more during lockdown, but it's continued, and there's more people that it uses the cut through now. And I've just let all the grass, which should be, you know, nicely mown, it's just wild, and there's cow parsley and buttercups and everything, and it's lovely. And I love
awesome.
the society, your concept that of, you know, it's a biophilic society, excuse me, but actually it's about society being biophilic.
Yeah, it is
really, really wonderful. Can you tell us about the summit that's coming up? You know, what's going to be on it, what's going to be on the program, and then also maybe where people can register. And just people listening, I'm going to put a link on the spiel.
Yeah, no. Again, this summit came from these previous activities that we organized, but the intent of the summit is also to move outside, you know, the constraints and the borders of the architects and engineering environment, because sometimes we think, okay, biophilia is related to architecture, or it's not. So it's basically we can really address biophilia from totally different angles. So, and the intent of this first summit is really to listen from voices from different perspectives, from different disciplines. So we will have some examples from the architectural environment, but we will have also like persons and speakers speaking about the quality and the effect of light, the importance of light, and then psychology, and then photography. For instance, we will have one of the speakers presenting some pictures and shots, let's say, taken from nature, and how basically, so, and behind this picture there is always like a story to tell. We will talk about the biophilic design and biophilia effect on healthcare. So how it is so important. We will have also session on artificial intelligence. So this is a bit funny. So basically, we ask artificial intelligence, okay, can you please prepare a session on biophilia and artificial intelligence for the summit? And she, I don't know, she did it. Basically, she produced a title, a pretty long title, and an abstract, and a concept for the presentation, and also the presentation. So basically, this is our first artificial intelligence organized session within every of our events, and pretty curious about this. Yeah, so, and we will talk about agriculture, we will talk about fashion, for instance, also the combination between regenerative practice in agriculture and fashion. You know, fashion is also another sector that's really impacting a lot in terms of environmental issues. We will have also a session on architecture and beauty and neuroscience, which is the effect for us and seeing different forms of architecture. Yeah, so it will be a full day, let's say, again, around 6 hours, let's say, with speakers from all over Europe. So we will start from Japan in the morning, and we will close with a roundtable with biophilic experts from the United States and from the United Kingdom in the end. You will be the moderator of this session, so we are also pretty excited about it. I think it will be a good day, let's say, a good opportunity to learn about the state-of-the-art conversation about biophilia, and this will basically, let's say, be helpful and beneficial, let's say, for our followers and participants.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it. So doing the excuse me, moderating the roundtable at the end of the day, rounding things up. So I'm really looking forward to being there. And thanks for asking me. It's really nice of you. One of the speakers at the summit, well, you've got two speakers at the summit actually who have received the award, the Stephen R. Kellett Biophilic Design Award, and you briefly told me at the beginning who they are. The first one from Japan, and then the winner here. So can you tell us a little bit about who's going to be speaking, if you can reveal?
Yeah, sure. This is basically so, you know, this Stephen Kellett award is happening annually. And we will have the same event. It's the first time they are convening the same place, the same event. Basically, the winner from last year edition, which is a beautiful biophilic building at the railway station in Japan, the JR Kumamoto railway station building. And we will have a project manager from Nickel Sekkei, which is an important design and construction firm in Japan, presenting the project. And after him, we will have Gees Brugging from Orga Architect, which is this design firm in the Netherlands, the designer of the Verwondering. The Verwondering is basically a translation of the amazement, is this school and primary school in the Netherlands, in a village called Almere, that won both the European category of the award this year and the global category, together with another beautiful building. Now we will present these two different projects with the totally different culture, and we will have also a conversation with the two designers. So it would be interesting.
It's going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah.
You did mention about a fire station. I know that was about something else, but can you just reveal? Can you just, because I just find that really interesting, so people can go off and Google this as well. And again, I might put a link in. But you said there was one of the winners or one of the shortlisted. Was it? What was the? What was
No, it was, so basically is the this year we had two winners. So this school from the Netherlands and this fire station building in Iowa. The Marion Fire Station, you can Google or search on the ILFI websites. There is an article presented this year's finalists, because we had a dozen of finalists with great projects from all over the world, with also some big names, let's say. But this building is particularly interesting because so sometimes we don't think about the stress that firemen are having while they're working in their activities, daily activities. So a sort of a strategy to design and build spaces for them to recover in a proper way, faster, let's say, in harmony with nature, reducing the stress. So that's why this project is also interesting, and also some strategies that they implemented. Like for instance, they adopted another again from Japan, a Japanese technique, to burn the wood and to create like sort of tiles to cover the building. Also, this technique is something that is making the timber or the wood, let's say, more waterproof and more resistant and durable. So this is also a name that I don't remember in Japanese, sorry, but it's also interesting. So it's the color is black in the end. This is one of the strategy. It's again a biophilic strategy that they implemented, that they adopted for this building. It's another interesting project, absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So again, listeners, I'm going to put links on the website to Living Future Europe and to the Biophilic Summit as well. So do make sure you click on the links on the spiel, or go to the website journalofbiophilicdesign.com, and all the links will be on the entry for this podcast on our podcast section on our website. So Carlo, many thanks for joining us on this. I really, really appreciate your time, and I'm so looking forward to the summit on the 7th.
Likewise, thanks so much, Vanessa.
Really am. I'm going to ask you the final question in a second, but is there anything else that you'd like to add before we get there?
Well, let's say follow us and let us know if you have any ideas. Also for also thinking about the next meetings of the Biophilic Society, because basically each month we are really presenting one of the member of the Biophilic Society. For instance, the next session, which will be this week, is about biophilia and art. So there will be a person presenting some moss walls works that she's doing. So it's also interesting. So if you have any ideas, or please join us first. So sign the manifesto on our website, on the Biophilic Society page. And yeah, we are absolutely eager to meet you at the next meetings. And you are more than welcome.
That's a nice invitation, listeners. So get on down to the Biophilic Society.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Carlo, final question. If you could paint the world with a magic brush of biophilia, what would it look like?
Yeah, so well, that's a difficult question. Yeah, sometimes there is always like this discussion, okay, but how can we solve these global issues? Like it is an individual task, or this is something we have to do collectively. We have to do both. So it's something that we cannot solve on our own, but we can do something, let's say, on our individual perspective, on our own, and working together with others. So what we can do about biophilia and reconnecting with nature is really to take every one of us, let's say, taking one moment every day to do something reconnecting yourself with nature. It could be really a very easy task, like going outside and, shall I say, watch like a tree, or taking a bit of fresh air, or really like waiting for a few minutes sitting under a tree, or let's say under the sun rays, or so forth. It could be, or like on a river. So it can be really whatever. So depending on where you are based. This is something simple, but taking like really a daily habits, like to do it like every day and to record this moment. It can really last seconds or minutes, but it's important that we record it, because sometimes you're always like confused with the daily stress and all of the things that we are doing. We are running, and then in the end we are not like stopping and feeling the experience of this important moment. This is my vision, let's say, for biophilia implementation for all, basically. So it could be also another claim, let's say, biophilia for all. This could be another claim, another payoff that we should use, because we really need to convene and collect, let's say, more people, and the people understand that how important it is to have a different relationship with nature, and really reconnected with nature, because this is something that we in many cases we lost in the last decades. Yeah, so and doing like this very practical example, like going outside every day and experience, like feeling a moment of bliss, let's say, reconnected with elements of nature. Could be whatever, tree or river or the sun or flower or natural materials or whatever, like feeling, breathing, listening, touching. So this is probably something that if we can do it like on a daily basis, is something that will be really beneficial for us, I suppose.
Thank you for listening to the Journal of Biophilic Design podcast.